Hey there, welcome to Transition Thursdays. Hey, if you're new to this channel or you're new to my videos, click the subscribe button, connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Facebook, although quite honestly, I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. But connect, leave a comment, love to hear what you have to say. Hey, today I want to talk about EBITDA multiples and why people just always seem to get them wrong, particularly business owners when they're starting to think about a transition of their business and they hear these multiples being put out there 5 times, 7 times, 8 times, 2 times, whatever the multiple might be. And a couple things about that. First of all, what is EBITDA? EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, or amortization. And in my mind, it's a lazy way of thinking about cash flow. Because investors are looking at investing in businesses because of cash flow and future cash flows and a return on their investment. If EBITDA is used as a proxy, but it actually isn't equivalent to cash flow, then you're using the wrong metric. So be really careful about that. Secondly, EBITDA multiples, by their nature, are looked at differently from the seller versus the buyer. Sellers would love to use the most recent numbers if they're, if they've hit a good, good result in the last year. Use that as the EBITDA baseline and then multiply that. Buyers are going to look at some sort of weighted average of the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, etc. That may be impacted by COVID, so they may want to do some adjustments for that. And on top of that, there's normalizations. And in the entrepreneurial space, in the mid-market space, most of our clients, business owners, will have normalizations. We've had as much as $1 million a year in normalizations from entrepreneurial businesses. And it's a very rare experience where we have no normalizations in an entrepreneurial business. In fact, it's so rare that we get pushback from buyers saying, hey, you missed the normalizations. We just have your financial statements for your client. And that rare case where we've been able to say, no, in fact, the client runs such a corporate style business, we don't have any normalizations. So the multiple is not really, you may be comparing apples to oranges between the buyer and the seller. So what I'd like to encourage you to do is think more about enterprise value and work backwards to figure out what your cash in jeans is at the end of a transaction. Because that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs miss. They think about a multiple, they want to get a big multiple on some number that may or may not be real, but they don't think about the debt that's going to be taken off of the enterprise value and the fees and the taxes and all the other things that go into a transaction. So work with your advisor, work with your accountant, work with an investment banker or an M&A advisor, and try to figure out as best you can what enterprise value you need in order to get the cash in jeans or the end result that you need to make your life comfortable post-transition. And then determine what you need to do to improve that multiple or that enterprise that's going to result in a better enterprise value, so that you can then set some targets for the next few years. And you've heard me talk about having a plan, a 2025 plan, a 2027 plan. Put some real plans in place, put some deadlines in place so that you can hit those targets and get your management team focused on hitting the targets that you're looking for. So that's the message for today. Don't get caught up in the multiples. Figure out what the overall enterprise value is. Figure out what your cash flows are that buyers are going to be looking for. And I think you'll have a much more fruitful conversation with future suitors to your business. So once again, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment, connect on any of these channels, and I look forward to seeing you next week.